If you're somebody that's been going to failure constantly, and if you make this one change, and you're gonna start getting results again. Hey, what's up guys? Gary Walker here with liveanabolic.com, and welcome back for another video. All right, in this video, I am gonna answer this question. Do you have to train to failure to build muscle as a man over 40? All right, so what are my thoughts? Here's the thing. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you've been following me for a while, you know I've been doing this for over 25 years. I've been training people for a long time. Been training myself personally for over 30 years. So I've been doing this a long time. One of the main things I want to point out to you, you are 40, you are 50, you are 60, you are 70, 80, man, you're not a young guy anymore. All right, the reason I want to stress that is because, not that you can't still build muscle, but you got to do it different. You got to be smart. All right, the reason that is crucial, if you go to failure when you're working out, if your goal is, I'm going to build as much muscle as possible. Back in the day, I used to go to failure and I got good growth. Here's what you're doing when you're older. You're setting yourself up for injury. You're setting yourself up to overtax your central nervous system, because our abilities to recover aren't the same, all right? They're a lot slower. Testosterone levels are lower. Growth hormone levels are lower. Everything, cortisol levels are higher. Estrogen levels are higher. So the two hormones that are higher, you don't want to be higher. The two that are lower, you don't want them to be lower. So you're trying to switch gears there. So you can do that through your workouts, but you gotta be smart the way you work out. You don't want to injure yourself. If you injure a shoulder, an elbow, a knee, a low back, guess what? You're gonna set yourself back even further, because our body's ability to heal is even slower. So yes, we got a lot going against us, but the one thing we do have going for us is age, wisdom. We should know better. Listen to our bodies. If something's hurting, cut back. All right, don't persevere through it thinking no pain, no gain. Complete wrong attitude when it comes to building muscle as an older guy. All right, the other key for building muscle is time under tension. That is the optimal way to build more muscle. Time under tension means you want to be a little bit higher rep ranges. So when you're higher rep ranges, you're naturally going to be using a little less weight. So we're not talking about doing 5 sets of 5 old school routines, which help get you a lot stronger, but also help destroy and put a lot of wear and tear on your joints. So we're trying to go away from that training methodology and really focus more on what's smart and what's optimal for us older guys. Now that we know what we have to work with, we can still boost testosterone levels, but they're not going to get back to 20-year-old testosterone levels. We can still do a lot of those things, just have to do them safely and smarter. So you kind of got my answer there with a big fat no, meaning you don't always have to train to failure to build muscle. However, there might be a time to train to failure. It depends on your starting point. It depends on your training history and specifically recent history. So if you've been training for a year, 2+ years, and you're pretty much stagnant, you've plateaued, you're not really changing much, then it's okay to utilize a few. And when I say few, I use phases. When I do all of my programs, they're done in 30-day phases. Phase 1 is 30 days. Next 30 days is phase 2. Next 30 days is phase 3. So when you're doing that, you're creating little mini phases where you're doing different things. Basically meaning, for 30 days, we're gonna focus on strength. Next 30 days, all hypertrophy, a muscle growth. Next 30 days, we're gonna add volume. The next 30 days, we might add frequency. So we're constantly changing and challenging our body's ability. All right, because here's what our body wants to do. Our bodies wanna stay in homeostasis. It doesn't wanna change. It wants to adapt to what you're doing so it can stop trying to add more muscle or stop trying to get rid of more weight. It likes the homeostasis. So we're having to force change by some of the exercise techniques. All right, so that being said, if you've been training for a while and you are the stagnant, you are in the plateau, then go ahead and use a 30-day phase to where your goal is training to failure, but failure within higher rep ranges. That's not gonna tax your central nervous system as much as the heavier poundages and going to failure. So what I'm saying is the heaviest I usually recommend older guys go 6 to 8 rep range. That's when you're trying to still build a little strength, trying to put on some muscle. When your primary goal is only hypertrophy, you don't care too much about just blowing everyone out of the water with your strength, then you can go more into the 10 to 12 rep range. So when we're going to failure, you wanna fail at 12 reps. If you're doing that, that's safer for your joints, better for your central nervous system. So that is still training to failure. However, you don't do it for 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive months. That's the point I wanted to make. You do want to make sure if you're training to failure, do it for 4 to 6 weeks. All right, depending on how you do your programming. 4 to 6 weeks, challenge yourself with your compound movements. Go to failure with some bench presses. Go to failure with some back rows. Go to failure with some arm curls, overhead presses. Go ahead and go to failure on some of those within the higher rep ranges, the hypertrophy rep ranges. Even if it's the 6 to 8, which is considered the heaviest that I usually recommend, fail at 8, you're gonna be fine as long as you're cutting back after about 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks, you're gonna start stimulating your central nervous system a little bit, which is fine as long as you scale back during your next phase. So for the next phase, what I would do is leave a few reps in reserve as opposed to just going to failure. So if you went to failure for 6 weeks, your next 4 to 6 weeks phase of your training is going to cut just short of failure. Step back a little bit, maybe add a little bit more volume, add an extra set as opposed to the intensity from the failure sets. So hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully I didn't get too detailed and too technical. I try to keep it pretty common sense, but if I did confuse you, then comment below and let me know. But if not, then if you make this one change, if you're somebody that's been going to failure constantly and you're burned out, you're sluggish, you've lost motivation, you just feel like you're in a rut, hit a plateau, then back off of the failure and you're gonna start getting results again. Maybe even take a deload week off if you haven't already done that. Complete 7 days off of all training, all right? Take a full 7 days off, allow your central nervous system to kind of get regenerated and rest. Eat. That doesn't mean taking 7 days off of your nutritional habits. You should still be maintaining good nutritional habits. Eat consistently, feed yourself good protein, and do that even with your off week, all right? Do that, and that's gonna help you recharge, replenish, and set back up for your next phase. But man, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up so that I know you did. But other than that, that's all that I got. Get busy, get after it. God bless.